Hey everybody, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and today I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite two-page spreads, and I'm going to be showing you ideas from each die level, so that's level 1, level 2, and level 3, and hopefully you'll be able to catch some of my tips for two-page spreads today, and that this will spark some inspiration for you. So here is the first two-page spread, and I had a lot of level 1 two-page spreads that I absolutely loved. I had a hard time picking some for this video because many of them are just so good. And this layout shows the heart dies. This 2x2 is from the heart die set, but these other ones are actually from our stitched heart set, and I did cover up the stitches with a solid heart on top to match more with the 2x2 heart. So one of my tips is, generally speaking, when you have a two-page spread, you want some of the elements from one side to carry over to the other side. And I put a 2x2 heart on both sides. These hearts are a different size from these, but it's okay because they still coordinate. It's still the same die, just a different size. All right, I'm going to move on to my second page here. Oh yes, this one is also a great one. So this layout is very simple, but the fun thing about this one is they're both the same page pattern. So this is the original page pattern, this layout, and then what I did is I flipped it upside down to make this one. And when you flip it upside down, the borders stay exactly the same, so they match on both sides. And over on this side, these matching photos are a different place from here, so it doesn't look exactly the same. It's not perfectly mirrored. It actually looks more interesting because these parts are not in the exact same spot as over here. I find I don't really love pages where I mirrored it exactly. It may depend on the die and photos you're using, of course. But I really like doing this where I take one pattern and then flip it upside down for the other side. I think it makes it a little more interesting. And that's mainly why I wanted to show you this one, to give you that idea. And it's really simple. And I really do like this layout. All right, let's go to layout number 3. I gotta pick this up. All right. So I have this fun layout here. This is what I would consider a row pattern. One trick I like to do with two-page spreads is carry the row over to the other side. So this was the first layout I made. And as you can see, this row in the middle pretty much stays the same. Obviously, I alternated the elements here. I didn't really want to mirror this side exactly on this side because that would be kind of boring. So over here, I broke it down into different sections, which allows me to add in more photos, really. And then over here, I just carried over the row, but instead of breaking this up into 3, I broke it up into 2, which I really liked because I was able to fit in those longer landscape-oriented photos over here. So if you have a row pattern, or it may not even be a row pattern, but there may be an obvious row, you can always just continue that row to the other side and just make the sizes, the mats and photos, different sizes on the other side, and it'll make it a little more interesting than if you just completely mirrored this side over here. So that is one neat trick, and that's why I wanted to show this layout today. All right, we're going on to number 4. So this one has some fun ideas. So these frames here are the graphic frame dies. And I love how this page all coordinates, and that's what's great about using dies. We usually have dies in a series or a collection that can go together, and when there's a variety of sizes, you can have fun using them all on a two-page spread. So over here I have my focal point photo with the 4x6 graphic frame. And I didn't repeat it on this side, but it's great as a focal point on one side of your layout. And then I have the 2x2s here, and I carried that on one section here because I had this space. But over here, you could also see I used a 3x3 size. So I didn't have to carry over the same exact sizes over here. What's nice is that I was able to just use the same die series and be able to use a different size over here. And this makes the page look more harmonious. And that's what I'm trying to go for with a two-page spread, is having harmony. So not the same, you don't necessarily want to have the same layout on the other side, but making sure they're harmonious. All right, let's go to layout number 5. All right, this one I'm just going to show real quick because, again, this is a very harmonious layout. What I really love is this pattern paper I use as a mosaic. And when we went to Richmond this one time, I did not have really any photos that would work as a mosaic, so I used a pattern paper. I think it looks really good. What I also repeated is this little kind of chalk look. So this isn't a pattern paper. I actually drew this myself. It's really simple. All you need is a black cardstock, and then you use a white pen to draw on it. And I think it looks really neat. I really like this look. And as you can see, I repeated it on both sides. And what I also like to do sometimes is if I do a mosaic technique on one side, I will repeat it on the other. You don't have to do that every time, but that is one idea, is to repeat the technique. So mosaic on one side, mosaic on the other. It could also be with the strip dies. Whatever technique you do, sometimes you can repeat it on the other side to make a harmonious 2-page spread. All right, on to the next idea. Oh yes. This is one of my favorite layouts with the horizon die. It's so pretty. If you really like being out in nature, definitely take pictures of plants. I mean, we like to take pictures of flowers, but sometimes even taking pictures of something like grass or a bush, something that doesn't seem, that important, can actually make a really, really good layout. So don't underestimate the photos you take. You really just never know. You can never go wrong with all those different types of detailed photographs. You just never know how it'll look on your page. It could seem really boring in person or on a photo, but you put it on a page and it looks super good. So I did repeat that on both sides, not in the same way. It was cut with the horizon dies, and over here I have it on the 1x3, but I also have this mini horizon here. So this is one idea I wanted to show you. If you use a specialty die such as Horizon is a pretty easy one to do this with because it's basically just a big circle. And you can repeat this shape in a smaller size for your second layout. And the Horizon set comes, or depending on which Horizon set you have. So the original Horizon sets, that would be the one that makes these shapes, the 3x4 and 3x3 over here, come with a little 1x1 and a little 2x2 size circle. They don't go with the Horizon design over here, but you can make your own little circles, and it's great for a second page spread. So that's what I did here. There's also in our 4x5 Horizon set, there's a 3x3 size you can use. Also, you can just use a circle die. So you're just basically repeating the same shape from here to here. And so you don't have to do another mini Horizon. You can just get our circle tile die and use that. I have done that before on another Horizon layout. That's mainly why I wanted to show this one, is to let you know, hey, you can just repeat the shape. If you have the specialty die, just repeat it over here. All right, I'm going to move on to the next layout. I'm getting to my level 3, so we're getting close to being done here. So this is the clover dies. Oh my gosh, this is one of the best pages by far that I think I've ever made. It's a favorite. A lot of people look at this and they love it. So if you know our clover dies, it basically makes 4 big rings around here. And for this layout, I left the 4x4 out. But even when you do, this part looks so good, even without that. It just looks like this really neat design. And over here, what's unique is I took the 2x4 size and made a panorama with it. I do have a demo on this one, so I will link that in this video. You should see it in the top right corner over here. So go check that out if you want to learn how to create a panorama like this. I love making panoramas, and so this was a really fun project to work on when I did it. But as you can see, I don't have the 4x4 clover die here, but I did repeat the 2x4 on this side, and I didn't repeat the same technique. I made it different. And that's what I do with these type of level 3 dies, is generally speaking, if I do something on one side, I do something completely different on the other side. Because if you have the same exact design repeating, then your eye is kind of competing between the two layouts. So what I recommend is having variety between your 2-page spreads. Have harmony by using the same pattern paper and you can repeat some of the same dies or the same collection. We don't really encourage repeating the same layout although there are some exceptions to that, but I think this looks so, so good. It's one of my favorites. I really wanted to show you all this one. All right, let's move on. I think this is the last one. All right, so this is another fun one. So if you don't recognize this die, this is actually the Sweetheart dies. Now, usually when I've shown Sweetheart, there's one big design. It kind of looks like 4 interlocking hearts or a big flower. But I wanted to do something different, and instead of making that huge flower shape, I wanted to make a border with it. So that's something you can do with a lot of our level 3 dies, is if you want a different look from that normal full page look, you can always turn it into something like a border, which of course I repeated on the other side, and so they are mirroring each other. I could have flipped this design the other way, so the flowers were, it kind of looks like the flowers are kind of like facing the outer way, but I could have turned these the other way around and having them facing this way as well. So it's really up to you. This is an example where I completely mirrored both sides of this layout, and it still looks really good. And what I did here is, you notice the mats, I have a white, brown, so that's what I did. I alternated the different mats here, so they're not completely mirrored, so it's not brown and brown here and then white here. So that's something you can do to make a mirrored layout look more interesting, is still alternate these mats. I also love on this one, mirroring can be handy if you have a long title like I did. So here I had this very, very long strip, and I was able to repeat that over here so I can fit in one long title. Like I said, I don't do the complete mirror look a lot, but in some cases, it still looks really, really good. I love this layout because of the theme. It's New Orleans, and I found this kind of antique looking, it kind of looks like this really old antique looking paper, and I thought that fit New Orleans perfectly. So if you ever go to New Orleans, they make awesome scrapbook pages because the theming of your page, every time I make a page in New Orleans, the theme of the entire layout looks so good. So that's something to pay attention to when you're scrapbooking, is to, so you notice I don't have anything on here that says, that's a New Orleans looking paper or anything like that. I just used this antique looking paper because it's a really old, looking city. And I actually felt that the Sweetheart die worked with New Orleans as well. I just looked at this and I was like, that just looks like it fits with New Orleans. So that's something to consider. Consider using pattern paper and dies that fit with the overall theme of your photos. All right, this is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope all of you found some new tips and ideas for your 2-page spreads. I'll make sure to link an article in the description as well. That'll lead you to more 2-page spread ideas because I know a lot of you need those ideas. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.